During the filming of Batman Forever, Tommy Lee Jones went to dinner with his family. He happened to go to the same restaurant as his co-star, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey went over to the table to say hi to his co-star. Tommy Lee Jones got up, gave him a hug, and told him, "I hate you. I cannot condone your buffoonery." I think in the last episode of Riddle Me This, where I talked about Frank Gorshin, I didn't quite play up the fact that he was a goofy character. He did, do the jump around and laugh like this.
Explosion have blown them to bits.
I tried instead to emphasize the part that's always stuck out to me, the fact that he can be reserved, and he often is, leading up to those moments.
Be still, my throbbing heart. My fondest dreams come true.
The point is, he's grounded. In one of the campiest superhero properties ever, he still is able to remain grounded. There is a logic to his character. Then you have Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is Frank Gorshin gone wrong. It's hard to talk about Jim Carrey's Riddler without just talking about the overall problems with Batman Forever, because the problems with Batman Forever infect every layer. There's really nothing that isn't touched by the fact that this is a movie full of idiot characters doing stupid things without proper motivation in a world that doesn't have logic and is just chaos on screen. People will compare this movie to cartoons, but cartoons build up to the wackiness. They set up a world. People will compare it to the Batman 66 TV show, but the thing about the Batman 60s TV show is it had an internal logic of everyone's stupid except for Batman, and Batman could ground every scenario. All the death traps are wacky and zany. There's a cookbook that can trap you inside it. There's exploding sharks. But there's a logical way, logical in terms of the show, not in real life, that Batman, the smartest person in the show, could get out of it. There is no logic to Batman Forever. It is just insanity. It's buffoonery. It's idiocy. These aren't fun things. They are things that prevent you from connecting with the world, and if you want to connect with the world, annoy you and alienate you from it. All of these things surround Jim Carrey's portrayal of the Riddler. Let's take another Jim Carrey performance, which is from another movie I don't like, but it's miles better than Batman Forever. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He is hamming it up. He is playing through pounds of latex and still able to be the elastic man who can make any expression and do anything with his body. But he's able to ground all that with emotion. There is no emotion to the character of the Riddler when he plays him in Batman Forever. There's nothing to that character outside of the ham. It's obviously irritating to a fan of that character, especially since that's the most prominent version of that character that we have gotten so far. But it just also doesn't work, as evidenced by everything else in that movie. Batman doesn't work, Two-Face doesn't work, Robin doesn't work, whatever the freaking Miranda Chase love interest is doesn't work. I'm not a purist. I like seeing changes in characters, but the problem is, this isn't a character. There's nothing to change here. It is a weird portrayal of poor direction? Poor writing? A poor performance? I'm not sure. The problem is, it's not good enough for me to care. The aesthetics of the character are also rather ugly, as with everything in this film. There's a conflict between the neon pop that Joel Schumacher was going for and the gothic Gotham that Tim Burton had set up in this quasi-universe. I honestly think that if Joel Schumacher had been able to make his own Gotham and not have to mutilate the Gotham we had come to know in two previous films, we would have gotten a better looking Gotham and a better looking cast of characters. But the problem is, we don't have that. The Riddler is in an ugly costume, his red hair is ugly, his lair is ugly, and he is surrounded by an equally ugly world. Then we have his gimmick. This is the thing about the Riddler. The Riddler doesn't always need to be asking riddles. You can do a lot more interesting stuff with him if you allow yourself to take some creative freedom with him and explore other parts of a mental challenge. But in here, he's just mind controlling people, which isn't interesting. What's interesting about the Riddler is that he wants to challenge people. He wants to prove himself the most intelligent. Here, we don't get that. What we get instead is someone who just wants to control people. That's not a very interesting motivation normally, and that's especially not an interesting motivation when your character is as flat as a two-dimensional shape. Like I said, the Riddler doesn't have to be a monolithic thing that doesn't change. It's comics after all. Comics evolve and they are fluid and they change with writer to writer. It's what's beautiful about comics. But when you take away any interest in the character and you don't replace that, then you're left with an empty shell. I have heard people defend this character. They grew up with him, and this is the version of the Riddler they know. They find him funny. They like Jim Carrey's performance. And obviously, I'm not going to tell those people they're wrong. I'm not here to police what people like, but as for me, I can't condone his buffoonery. Next time when I take a look at the Riddler, I will be looking at the Riddler Factory. Also, see you tomorrow, VEDS.